this, and there. Done. Alright, guys, remember a couple chapters ago when I was complaining that Gremy, despite the fact of having the amazing ability to conjure anything he wished or anyone into existence, he was wasting it on, like, just raising the ground a little bit on that stupid-ass arena that he declared, like, this is an epic arena for us to fight on, Kenpachi Zaraki? Well, I got a better one for you, Gremy. Okay, so check this out. Now, this is just an artist rendition, but basically we have this giant sky arena that we have these 12 engines on each side that spin it constantly going 300 miles per second, and then it can stop, and then it can go in counterclockwise in the same exact speed. And then we have these 4 more engines on the bottom that rocket it from the trophosphere, stratosphere, and then mesosphere, and then drop it all the way back down again constantly. So you got like this 3-dimensional perspective. On top of that, there's also a massive fucking lightning storm going on with these massive lightning rods attached to the base that channel this electricity on the floor in segmented patterns. So you got like to jump around on this like electrified floor. It's gonna be awesome. And then, if that wasn't good enough, you also have these 3 gods from Viking mythology on these platforms constantly trying to get into the arena to fight alongside you or kill you, whichever comes first. Now, that might be a problem at first, but then you consider that the fact that they have these 5-layered adamantium cage barring you in. Now, despite the fact that that's there, these are massive gods of Norse mythology constantly pounding on this cage trying to get in. A little bit of abstraction there. But hey, if mythology isn't your thing, we also have these 500,000 armed soldiers from the world's most trained military groups gathered together with the most advanced weaponry known to mankind. We got energy tanks, we got laser cannons, we got heavy artillery, we got nuclear bombs, we got phased plasma rifles constantly bombarding this entire monstrosity. I don't know why they're doing this, but they're down there. Oh, they're also cyborgs. Did I forget to mention that? Because that's also kind of important. But yeah, hey Gremy, your ability to raise the ground a couple of stories, that was really freaking interesting too, right? Hey everybody, Tekking101 here with a new jacket that does include pockets. I know, I'm excited too. Here to review Bleach chapter number 575 entitled The Killer's High. So chapter continues from the last one pretty much. We still have the fight against Gremy and Kenpachi, and as we all know from any fight, including Kenpachi Zaraki, there's not really a lot of dialogue. There's also not really a lot of any kind of intricate abilities. I mean, so far we haven't seen Kenpachi do anything like that. It's just pretty much just a massive gore fest. And yeah, continuing on with that, we have the entire right side of the arena that Gremy created basically demolished after Kenpachi's last attack. I guess when he struck that iron pole that Gremy materialized in order to protect him, I guess it like wiped out half of the freaking arena in the process. So then we have that going on, and then we cut away to, I don't know, this has to be at least like about like a half a mile or something away, because we have Askinak Levar, who's just literally chilling out on one of the Stern Ritter buildings with a pair of binoculars and a picnic basket, I shit you not, just sitting there enjoying a light brunch, you know, watching the fight against Gremy and Kenpachi, and I'm just sitting there like, really, dude, this guy is such a freaking troll. I mean, you gotta love Askin, because he's the kind of guy, like, he's clearly strong. He's Stern Ritter D. He's clearly one of the strongest members of the Stern Ritters, but he also has that kind of like, I do what I want kind of feel, like I'll go where I want, I'll do however much work or how little work as I feel like I should, you know, give to the situation. If I feel like walking around the Vonente and wiping out some Shinigami, I'm gonna do that. On the flip side, if I feel like just hanging out on top of a roof, you know, eating my midday snack, I'm gonna do that as well. So that's pretty much what he's doing, just observing the fight. Oh, hey, dude, what's going on? Oh, you know, just watching this massive fight take place out in our yard.
Awesome. Oh, hey, check it out. That guy's totally on fire.
Yeah. Cheese doodle?
Yeah, I'm good.
And he's just kind of like, wow, Kenpachi Zaraki's giving Gremy a run for his money. That's pretty impressive right there. Then we actually find out that His Majesty Juha Bach was actually the person that sent Gremy to that location to begin with. So I don't know if, like, how Juha exactly knew where Kenpachi was going to be at some time. Maybe he just had an idea like, oh, well, that his lieutenant's there, so he's going to show up eventually. Gremy, you better go and deal with this. So yeah, that's the reason he got sent there. And then we find out that there's another Sterner that's also watching the fight behind Askin, and it's just that, I think his name was it's funny, like when he was first introduced, his name was like Yajiumu or something, Yajiuma, and in this chapter we have Askin calling him Pepe, so I don't freaking know. Anyway, this guy's basically sitting there floating in a massive pie dish, which he was probably using to eat his breakfast earlier, and he's dressed so casually. He has the Stern Ritter cape like cloaked over him, but he's like wearing like a wife beater, you know, he's not like a white tank top. He's not really that imposing in terms of outfits. He has like a beard that's kind of divided in two sections, but that's basically it. He has the staff he was carrying last time with the eyeball on it. Also, though, we get to see his feet in this chapter, and that's actually very important because his feet are curved like the Jester boots are, and that reveals that it was in fact the Stern Ritter that controlled Jidombo. I think it was back in chapter, oh man, I don't know, 512, 513, 514, one of those 3 chapters where he was just manipulating Jidombo. You know, and people were kind of saying it was him when he was first introduced because the laugh was the same. It was that kind of like gig kind of laugh. But you know, I wasn't like known for sure until we got to see, you know, his actual feet and they match up. So yeah, it was this guy. You know, I'm assuming this is I don't know, M for mind control or something, because he was able to manipulate Jidombo with that eye staff, and like out of the other Stern Ritters, I think it was like Basby, or maybe actually no, it might have been Askin who was saying like, oh, you guys better watch out because you know Yajuma's up there and he's got his eye on you, so maybe he can like manipulate people if your eye comes in contact with his staff or some such. Anyway, he's not really doing much of anything. He's just kind of observing the fight as well. And Askin's like, well, we better get our asses out of here because if we even stay in this location, like we're a decent ways away from the battle, but even here our lives are kind of in danger, or at least we're going to be in danger of getting caught up in the battle. And Pepe agrees as well. He's like, yeah, we should probably get out of here before it goes insane. And it's funny here, Askin brings up something involving Gremy. He says that, seriously though, I didn't want to speak ill of someone who has no talent other than to rely on their fantasies, which right there implies that his bold declaration that Gremy is like, oh, I'm the strongest Stern Ritter. That might be not exactly true. Now, this might just be Askin's personality. He might just be like, oh, in my opinion, Gremy is just this sad, pathetic kid who only can rely on his imagination. He might still be very well stronger than him, but maybe this is just Askin's own opinion of the kid. But, you know, the fact that he said he has no talent other than imagination, that also kind of bolsters the idea, like, this guy has no physical power. His power all just relies on his imagination abilities. He has no other talent in anything else. Maybe he can't even use other Quincy powers. Maybe he can't, like, you know, use a bow or a projectile weapon. It all has to rely on his imagination, which, if that's the case, you know, he's kind of like a one-trick pony sort of deal. Although that one-trick pony also has a bunch of other tricks up his sleeve. It's like a one-trick magician pony. There's probably a My Little Pony that has that concept to it, but I'm going to stop right there because, you know, the brony thing. Anyway, though, he ends the conversation by saying, that imagination of his has the ability to bring anything into fruition. Kind of makes me feel like it's not being able to do anything at all would be a welcome sight to that. How? Well, what does this exactly mean? I don't know. I mean, maybe he's implying in a sense that maybe Gremy wants to be defeated or something. I don't know. I really don't get it, because he's just like, oh, that kid, he can make anything he wants out of nothing. It would be a welcome sight to see nothing after that. I don't really get that. Maybe you guys can explain it better. I really couldn't decipher that, really. But moving on to the fight, we cut back, and Yachiru finally speaks up, because she's just been kind of just sitting there in, I don't know, a state of shock for like the past 2 chapters. So she starts talking like, hey, Ken-chan. Kenpachi's just like, hey, what's up? And it's like, she jumps down and, you know, she's fully healed. You know, well, her arm apparently might be still broken, but she can still walk and everything. Her bones are clearly not made of cookies. And Kenpachi's just like, hey, I sense that Isane's Ryatsu at the bottom of this arena is still there, so you should probably go down and get healed. So right there, big kind of red flags going up. The fact that Kenpachi Zaraki, a guy that kind of sucks at detecting Ryatsu, even came out and said in earlier chapters when he was fighting against Tozen, when Tozen did his Bonkai, and Kenpachi's just like, oh man, this sucks. I can't sense spiritual pressure for shit. I have to fight in this weird, I have to use my actual brain to fight in this battle. That sucks. So he can't sense spiritual pressure at all, but he was able to sense Isane, the fact that Isane was alive, and her own specific pressure at the bottom of the pillar where there's probably other people down there. So, yeah, red flags raised, just, you know, going up with that idea. Just kind of jumps down the side of the arena. Meanwhile, Gremy stands back up, and he's just like, it's kind of funny, isn't it, that my powers weren't able to work on her anymore. So he might be doing the whole, like, oh, I didn't do anything wrong, or, oh, my powers weren't the cause of that. He just kind of convinces himself, like, oh, yeah, she must have just been, or my powers must have just been passed over on her. It's not my fault. It's not anything involving me. You know, she just got over it. I think what his powers, like his greatest weakness might be, is his own self-doubt. Because obviously he won't be able to maintain his imagination, he won't be able to maintain any of that stuff if he starts doubting his own abilities. Like, oh, maybe my powers aren't good enough to defeat you, or oh, maybe this, all this stuff out here, it's all gonna fail, you know, it's so worried. So maybe that's why he always has to keep that stoic impression on his face, like he's very kind of emotionless in a lot of senses, and that's the reason. If he has any self-doubt, that's gonna kind of distort his powers, or if he has any other strong emotion, that's gonna affect his mind, because his powers powers are all mind-based, as Askin stated. So Kenpachi just starts asking him, like, hey, kid, do you have anything else up your sleeve you're gonna do? I mean, you chuck lava, you chuck all this crap at me. Are you actually gonna fight me with your own two hands? Or are you just gonna stand there chucking random shit at me all day, right? Because getting distracted by anyone other than your opponent, I don't even call that a fucking fight. The fact that, you know, he's sitting there and he was more interested in Yachiru for a second than actually paying attention to Zaraki. Zaraki hates that kind of crap. In Zaraki's mind, and I guess the 11th Squad dogma, you know, fights are one-on-one, you don't worry about other stuff, you don't get distracted so easily, it's all about you and your opponent. That's all a fight is supposed to be, and Zaraki's kind of getting pissed off that Gremy is doing anything to the contrary here. So we get the title page, Bleach 575, the Killer's High, and then we have Kenpachi charging in, and we have Gremy summoning, I guess he's repairing the arena, and also summoning some of his, you know, the bricks or whatever to, like, send toward Kenpachi, like he's part of some demonic Tetris game or whatever. Anyway, he manages to get a line in, so he manages to break right through, and Gremy goes into kind of an inner monologue of what Kenpachi just said, of how, he's like, what are you talking about, fight? He was saying, like, oh, I'm the strongest Stern Ritter, so he's gonna beat me down a food chain, but if I am the strongest, that doesn't make any sense, because I'm the strongest, there's nothing he can do, and he's like, mental overload. He starts thinking, and he kind of like breaks his emotionless expression. He kind of just says, well, I don't know what it is. It's just that I'm supposed to just not worry about this guy. He's just an insignificant Shinigami. I'm just be able to break him like all the other ones. But for some reason, I just have this urge to just beat the living shit out of this guy into oblivion. And this really, the creepy factor on this guy just went through the roof. He has like this expression of just like a pure ecstasy. You know, it's just like, you know, kind of like that, like, I'm gonna kill this guy, I'm gonna send him to hell, you know, that kind of shit. So, you know, the fact that he's actually getting some kind of emotion going on, though, is a nice welcome change. You know, the fact that his face is like he's doing something else other than just the bland stoic shit. So he's like, I'm gonna kill this guy by any means necessary. So he just spawns a shit ton of freaking guns and automatic rifles and bazookas and RPGs out of freaking nowhere, and he just starts unloading on Kenpachi Zaraki. You know, I gotta love that, because you gotta imagine if Zaraki ever came to our world and he just started wrecking shit up and just started demolishing cities and blowing the tanks up. This is the answer our army would do. I could just totally see like the entire U.S. Army gathering around Kenpachi and just pointing like 1,000 guns at this guy at once. And he's like, do not move or we will fire! And Kenpachi just kind of turns and just kind of smiles at him. They just start unloading on this guy like he's the freaking alien or he's like the Predator or something. And it's just like, die! And so does he stop there, though, after slamming an upwards of like 10,000 bolts into Zaraki? Fuck no! He spawns like these 3 Predator missile, you know, heat seekers or whatever. They fly directly toward him. They blow the shit out of him. So yeah, Gremy, this is the kind of crap of like bringing conventional weapons into it. That's something else. It's something new. It's something creative. I mean, it's not gonna work, but hey, don't stop there. Let's go off Modern Warfare on this shit. You know, let's work on a kill streak bonus, you know? Bring in the freaking AC-130s, bring in the tactical nukes. You can do anything, man! But yeah, hey, surprise, surprise, conventional weapons did nothing to stagger Kenpachi fucking Zaraki, although he does emerge from the smoke looking kind of like a zombie, so that's pretty beast, actually. Chapter ends with Gremy just striking a more even creepier face. His eyes get more narrow. It's kind of look like he's resembling that creepy face Asnot made, I think in like 567 or something against Rukia. It's bordering on that kind of level right now. And Kenpachi ends the chapter by just saying, you finally made this guy really happy. And it looks, I don't want to get anybody's hopes up, but it looks right here, he's holding up his hand, you know, his sword hand, and he's like reaching for his eye patch, and he's gonna peel it off, and it's gonna be freaking awesome. It's gonna like level the entire Vondente. He's gonna take the dang thing off, and just it's gonna be like a ground zero H bomb just detonated. Gremy's gonna be like, what are you gonna do, Kenpachi's like, like slow motion, like the entire white flash just goes off, and Gremy gets sent like a mile away, and then Kenpachi like arrives on the scene, and Gremy's there, he's missing like half of his freaking body, and he gets up, and he's like, what the hell's going on, man? And he uses his power to repair himself, and then Kenpachi just does one more slash, and then end a freaking chapter. So yeah, I did 2 chapter reviews in one, because that's what next one is gonna be. I don't know if he's reaching for his eye patch, though. It might just be a close-up view of just like, you made this guy really happy, bring it on, but there's a reason he's wearing that thing again, because, I mean, some people have been bringing up, like, well, if he can control his Ryatsu now to some degree, why does he still have the eye patch on? Maybe it was just a regular eye patch. Maybe the dude just liked to wear eye patches. I don't know. But, you know, I'm hoping that's what it's going to be, though, because this fight has to escalate at some point. You know, it either has to be him removing the eye patch, him getting a power-up, or him using his Shikai ability. It has to be something, okay? I was expecting Gremy to go full-on Voltstandig in this chapter, really, because, you know, from the last one, we kind of had, like, the majority of the bulk of the fight last chapter, so I figured, you know, he was going to go, you know, Voltstandig in this one, but I guess he didn't. I wonder what Gremmy's Voltstandig would be, like what he would take appearance of. I really can't figure, like the creator god or something. I don't know. But yeah, so that's the chapter. Really not much more to elaborate on from the last one other than Askin and Pepe showing up and just having their little shtick, but we didn't really find anything out about them. You know, we didn't find out what Pepe's number is or anything. I mean, a letter is or anything. So not really to comment on there other than Askin just being a total troll. And the fight against Kenpachi and Gremy didn't really go anywhere. The only thing that really happened was Gremy finally decided to go serious. He finally took his hands out of his pockets, you know? I actually have pockets now, so I can emulate that. That's awesome! He's like, so he takes his hands out of his pockets, and that's about it. That's the extent of the chapter. So, hope you guys enjoyed Tekking101. Signing out, ladies and gentlemen.